Hi everybody, welcome to TNT. Just checking the date. It's the 21st of January. Thank you very much for all the people that told me I was wrong with the date yesterday. I have no idea what happened, but all those people that did comment, thank you very much, because that's really good for the algorithm. I think I should make more mistakes. That would help. So let's go to a range of stories today, perhaps a bit further away from some of the usual fare. And we're starting with a follow-up in Phuket. The story from cowsodenglish.com talks about EDC Phuket Festival. That's a big dance festival marred by deaths and drug arrests. And the story says that in a tragic turn of events at Phuket's Electric Daisy Carnival, 2 international tourists died and 3 foreign nationals were arrested for drug possession. And just in case you missed yesterday's news, at the Boat Avenue lakefront, a 32-year-old Vietnamese American and a 28-year-old Canadian collapsed in separate incidents. Both were rushed to hospital, didn't survive. But that led to the arrest of 3 festival attendees, a 52-year-old Japanese national found with cocaine, 33-year-old Burmese citizen charged with methamphetamine, a 29-year-old Malaysian national who faced multiple charges for possessing ecstasy and cocaine. Well, let's be frank about it, they weren't really looking very hard, were they? Law enforcement officials also identified 4 individuals suspected of illegal cannabis distribution within the festival grounds, and this all happened on the final day of the event. And the article says contradicting earlier statements from local police about the effectiveness of security screening measures. Now, I've spoken to multiple people who attended the event, and none of them noted anything in the way of security screening measures. And the incidents raised concerns about drug safety protocols at major music festivals in Thailand, prompting authorities to review security measures for future events. Now, there's a lot of hypocrisy and faux outrage from the police and authorities in relation to these events held in Phuket. And here in PHANG over the weekend, we had quite a big dance party at the Barber Beach Club. I had a lot of the guests at that party staying at my beach houses because really there's not that much accommodation around the area. So, well, of course, I get the overflow. Now, we had a lot of young British revellers who were going to the parties, sat down with some of them on Sunday morning, just having a general chat as they sort of recovered from the night before. And I said, what sort of percentage of people at the party are on some sort of illicit drug? And they sort of looked at each other giggling. They said, well, 100%. Okay, to our next story. The Bangkok Post reporting visa-free rule for Chinese in question. So just some quick background. Chinese people at the moment, since July last year, are allowed to come to Thailand for 60 days without a visa and then extend that for another 30 days, like people from 93 countries around the world. But it looks like all the recent publicity is perhaps pushing authorities to review the situation. One particular senator has addressed the policy, originally intended to boost tourism, saying it's been exploited by criminal groups, Chinese crime syndicates using Thailand as a base for illegal operations. And so the senator proposed a thorough review of the visa-free policy, particularly for tourists from China and other countries linked to transnational crime, to close immigration loopholes. And he suggested replacing the visa-free policy with a visa on arrival. Well, before last year, all Chinese coming to Thailand were allowed to stay for 15 days, but it was a visa application on arrival. And he said that would mandate travellers to provide proof of hotel bookings and travel plans. Well, I would have thought the upcoming ETA, the Electronic Travel Authority, was going to ask travellers coming to Thailand, particularly people on visa exemption, to provide exactly that information. But the Deputy Defence Minister has clarified the situation, saying that visa-free travel primarily serves as an economic strategy. And he assured the Senate that the government's working to mitigate risks, including tighter border controls and collaboration with neighbouring countries. And to that we go to a Cowsod English version of the same story. Thailand considers reducing 60-day visa waiver for Chinese tourists. The TAT is considering reducing the visa-free period for Chinese tourists from 60 to 10 to 15 days, following concerns over scammer gangs targeting foreign visitors, particularly Chinese nationals, who are being lured into Myanmar. Now, I should emphasise that it's not the TAT who would be making this decision. They could make a recommendation to the government, and then it would be between the Department of Foreign Affairs and Immigration to decide what they wanted to set, along with the Cabinet, of course, in relation to visa policies for any particular country. But it quotes the TAT governor, and she says the agency opposes completely eliminating the visa-free policy for Chinese tourists, as most visitors stay between 7 and 10 days. So reduce the time period, but keep it visa-free. And the Thai Hotels Association president has weighed in, saying that recent cancellations followed a high-profile incident involving a Chinese celebrity, Wang Qing, becoming a victim of scammers. And Bangkok topped the list of cancellations, followed by Nonthaburi, which is basically Bangkok, Chiang Rai, Chonburi and Chiang Mai. For non-Chinese tourists, Chonburi was at the top of the list, and then Bangkok and Krabi. Despite these changes, hotel operators note that the impact on individual travellers remains limited, with group tours being more affected by the current situation. So we're now into the end of January, so we've had the Christmas and the New Year sort of splurge of extra tourists in Thailand, so the numbers will be sort of steadily dropping until we get into Chinese New Year, then of course Songkran. But at the same time, they are noting some cancellations. The National Police Chiefs held an emergency video conference. He emphasised Thai tourism authorities were not involved in any scamming operations and announced enhanced surveillance of border areas, particularly in Mae Sot district, where illegal border crossings have been reported. So the National Police Chief acknowledging the border areas and the border leakage up around the northwest and the northeast of Thailand into neighbouring countries. But I think he's sort of missing the big picture, where most of the crime is just flying into Thailand on scheduled flights. And just acknowledging our main sponsor, 5starmarinephuket.com. That's the number 5. There's the address there if you want to contact them. I know they've been really heavily booked, but I think some bookings opening up in February, March and April. Highly recommend them as a very reliable and, enjoyable private charter company. If you want to take a trip out of Phuket, there are options for private tours and also group tours as well. So go to the website and check out 5 Star Marine. Just very quickly going to whip around the country. We do have some very poor air quality right around the country. Let's just whip around. We start off in central Thailand. Here's Bangkok at the top of the Gulf of Thailand. Currently today, number 13 as the worst polluted city in the world. Also down in Pattaya, they've got pretty poor air quality there as well. Now down in Phuket, Krabi and just north there in Phang, the air quality is much worse than it usually is, and we note that we've got quite a lot of haze around the hills, and we've got this north-easterly stream which is blowing air from the continent down into the Andaman Sea. And this is up in the north of Thailand. We've got Chiang Mai, then up the top Chiang Rai, and just a bit further south in what we would call sort of north-central Thailand, very poor air quality. And here along the Hua Hin, the Prachuap Khiri Khan coast, pretty poor air quality there. And even up in the northeast, Udon Thani and Khon Kaen, the northeast not blessed with very clean air at all today. That bad air quality continuing around the country at the moment. Not really a good start to the annual burning season. A response from police in the Bangkok Post to all these scam gangs, the call centre scams. Let's go to it. And the government's putting together a 6-month campaign tackling drug problems, call centre gangs and human trafficking. And stricter measures would be introduced if the overall situation didn't improve within 6 months. And the Deputy Prime Minister said he was speaking after former PM Thaksin Shinawatra, the de facto leader of the ruling Pheu Thai party, well, may as well say it as it is, promised an end to the abuse of illegal drugs and activities of call centre gangs in neighbouring countries by the end of the year. And they're tackling an area across 14 provinces, 51 districts, and involving 76 police stations, covering, here we go again, the eastern and western borders. So a lot of focus here again on the Myanmar, Laos and Cambodian borders. And he finished with this one: should any officer feel that they're not right for this job, we will give them the right to be transferred. It's not about transferring to a better place, it's about you have an important job to do, but you're not up to it. So just daring police to pull their socks up and get stuck into the job. As we go to this story in Thai PBS World. From bribes to fees, Thailand mulls legal option for avoiding conscription. And concerned by frequent reports of conscript abuse, including cases that have resulted in fatalities, many able-bodied young Thai men and their families choose to bribe their way out of mandatory military service. An estimated 2 billion baht in bribes are paid each year for young males from mostly wealthy families, that's the point here, to avoid conscription. And earlier this month, the Territorial Defence Command Chief proposed a lawful option for those wishing to dodge mandatory service. He suggested introducing a conscription waiver fee, adding the revenue could be used to fund improved financial benefits and welfare for voluntary recruits during their military training. He said, in my opinion, those unwilling to serve should have the option to contribute to a fund that increases remuneration for those who do volunteer. He cautioned, however, that the pros and cons of this proposal must be carefully examined to prevent accusations of creating a class-based division in military service. So you're going to end up with all the army recruits coming from poorer families. I can't see how this idea would even possibly avoid that situation. And just some background, under the conscription law, all able-bodied Thai men aged 20 are eligible for up to 2 years of mandatory military service, and this can be postponed until 27 if they're still studying. Recruits can also volunteer for service in which their term is cut by half. And then further down there, the number of volunteer applications has risen steadily in recent years after online applications were accepted in 2021. The applications have risen from about 3,000 in the first year to 21,500 last year. So it looks like there are still plenty of recruits for the Thai army with the conscription process, but I'm not sure if a legal paying your way out of the situation is the way to go, because obviously the more moneyed families are going to be able to use that option more than the poorer families. But with that, hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. Please subscribe to the channel, and we do look forward to seeing you tomorrow.